And the GOP argument for the enhanced premium tax credits are that they're too expensive, they jack up healthcare costs. Making the ACA subsidies permanent would add approximately $350 billion to federal spending over the next decade. I mean, what do you say to that? Because I was talking to a healthcare expert and she said, and just extending these by 3 years is kind of kicking the can down the road, and it doesn't address the root problem of making healthcare costs go lower.
Well, I think there's validity to her point that we have to address the root causes of healthcare being too expensive in this country. I think we need certainly to expand prescription drug negotiation. I was proud that the Democratic House and Senate, along with the Biden administration, actually started that process. But I'm pleased to see the Trump administration continue to try to drive prescription drug costs down via negotiation. And look, I think that for far too long, we've let the insurance companies call the shots, and Congress has to stand up and actually make sure we're representing the people who send us to Washington, D.C., the constituents whose health care bills are through the roof. But I also think in the near term, Brittany, we have to extend these credits. I've spoken to so many constituents. A few stories immediately come to mind. One is a 62-year-old retired teacher whose bills are going to go up by $700 a month. And so he's going to take early Social Security to pay for his healthcare costs. Another was a 60-year-old woman who lives by herself. She rents an apartment, and her bills are going from $300 a month up to $1,400 a month. So she genuinely doesn't know how she's going to be able to afford her rent, her groceries, and her health insurance. And then I spoke to a mom of two, 52 years old, family's in good health. Husband is 51, kids are 18 and 17 years old. Their bills are going to go up from over $20,000 a year, which is still a lot of money, obviously, to over $55,000 a year if those credits are not extended. And she was contemplating going into bankruptcy due to medical debt. So these are real stories from real constituents of mine. And I know if I'm hearing it, people, any representative worth anything that are going out and talking to the people they represent, they're hearing similar stories. And it actually impacts the red states, Florida, Texas, worse than it impacts a lot of the blue states like California.
I mean, hearing those prices, it's just astronomical. And just in recent days, I heard someone in an interview saying, hey, I might float the idea of potentially divorcing my husband so our insurance costs can come down. I'm sure you have heard other solutions. I know I have, like people divvying up their medication to make it last longer. I've heard of people forgoing insurance altogether, or not going to the hospital or not visiting a doctor because it's just too expensive. And I know some Republicans joined Democrats here to support that discharge petition, but that vote on extending the ACA tax credits isn't going into effect. That's not going to be on the floor until next year. So what do you think about that? Do you think that that's going to pass?
Well, I think we're going to pass it in the House, and we'll make some history when we do. It'll be the fourth successful discharge petition this Congress, and the last time that happened is 1935 to 1937. What that tells you is that the discharge petition really is a mechanism when the Speaker of the House has lost control of the floor, has lost control of the proceedings, and unfortunately that's what's happened. It gives me no pleasure to say that Mike Johnson is the weakest speaker, I think, in modern American history. I wish we had a strong speaker we could work with to get big things done for the American people, but we just don't have that. We have a speaker really in title only who has ceded a lot of the authority, a lot of the power of the institution of Congress to the White House, whether it's the power of the purse, whether it's war powers or tariff powers, or so many other key priorities for the American people. What that's led to is a number of moderate Republicans who have said enough is enough. We are not going to be held up by the far right. We have to partner with the Democrats, and that's ultimately how we've gotten a number of things done. And there are other discharge petitions in the works, Brittany, like the stock trading ban that I know you and I have spoken about before.